Hello everyone, welcome back to the video on my channel. My name is Florida, and this video is going to be a kind of part 2 to the Explore Note Taking, Choosing Your Right Pen video. In this video, I wanted to cover, how do you take notes in scenarios? How do you take notes when you're being given the information from your dispatcher, from your caller? So today, I'm going to be showing you guys how I take notes when I'm being given information. You may do it another way. Again, this is a preference thing, but I'm here to give you guys kind of my view on things to hopefully spark your inspiration and maybe you make up your own idea and way of doing this.
You try to keep me down, but I just get higher.
So we have our notepad here and our pen of choice, as I told you guys. Again, the Palette G2 is probably the best pen out there, so please consider buying a pack of these. Anyway, so what is your main objective when writing notes? When you're being given important, critical information that will help you determine what to do in the certain call or scenario that you're put on, it's really important that you get very important information, if that makes sense. Most of the time, the dispatchers or judges will kind of throw pointless information in there just to get you kind of caught up. What I like to do is I like to make a list of words. Usually when it's a domestic violence call or it's a family violence call, I'll write down if there's any weapons involved. So say this is a family violence. I'm going to just put an FV, and then I'll usually put the date. So today is July 2nd, 18? Yeah. So call or date. It's very important that you date your entries because most of the time we don't tear out what we write just so we can look back on it. But for competition's sake, they will make you tear it out. So just be mindful of that because they don't want you to have anything in your notepads that you can potentially cheat off of, not like you would, because we're very good, respectable people. So family violence, they start telling you the neighbor called, there's shouting, the male party might be intoxicated, unknown weapons. What do you write from that? That is a lot of information that your judge just gave you. So, first of all, I'm going to put neighbor call. I don't know how to spell neighbor really good, so neighbor. And usually my handwriting will be much worse than this because I'm just chicken scratch. I'm trying to just write down all this information. So the neighbor called, possible intox. And again, you don't have to write out each word. You can abbreviate because when you're given all this information, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be fast, and they're not going to want to repeat it. Okay. Possible intox, unknown weapons. Again, we abbreviate just to make our lives easier. And then yelling. So the reason why we write down all this information is because when we do our report, we want to be able to have these notes to kind of look back at, not like we would as explorers, but it's just a good habit to get in the habit of writing important notes down before and during a scenario. So now that we have that kind of covered, our basic information, we're going to draw a line here just to separate our notes here. So we get in, we assess the situation, and let's say we have to ID both parties. So the female has an ID, but the male decides he doesn't have an ID on him, and my computer just turned on. So what happens if the person doesn't ID? That is not an excuse to not run this person. You ask for their name and date of birth. most people in the world do not know their DL number by heart. I know my mom does because she's that way. But yeah, he doesn't know his DL. He only knows his name and date of birth. So let's say his name is John Doe, I guess. That is the most generic. So John Doe, and his birthday will be 5/16/87. Again, we will write all this information down, and then we'll go to dispatch, be like, 122, check 1, and then they'll give you like your go-ahead, and then you'll run the name phonetically. You want to do it last name first, and then the date of birth. So we run the information, he comes back clean, all that stuff. Now, at this point, we're pretty much done with our notepad part of the scenario. You only really need to write notes when you're questioning people, when you're receiving information from your dispatch, or you are writing down the personal information of a person that you're running and they don't have their ID. So let's move on. Especially in a family violence call, you're going to question the people involved. You're going to ask them, what happened, where did this happen? Basically, what my advisors have told us is who, what, where, when, how. We want to know all the details of this incident. So if you feel the need to write stuff down, because in my post, we don't have radios as of now, so writing the information that you hear from the party that you're talking to helps you relay important information back to your other officers very smoothly. And that to me is just the best way to really do it. So let's say that the male is telling you that I had a couple beers. So you'll put couple beers. Okay? And then he'll say that it got physical. Okay? And then once he tells you all this important information, because this is important information, this will help you move forward in your investigation. You want to talk to your other officers. Most of the time, I will remember what the people are telling me. I don't necessarily have to write it down, but if it's a high-stress scenario and there's yelling involved and I'm trying to make sure my other officers are safe, I will probably whip out this pad and just start writing general information just to make sure that I give the other officers who are with me on the call the necessary correct information that the other party is telling me. So this is basically what your notepad should look like, and depending on how much information you get, you'll use more than one page. Now, this was just an example, just a real brief scenario that's pretty straightforward, right? You're going to want to write down as much information as you can as well. You can also ask your dispatch/judge if there's any more information. Mostly what they're going to tell you at the start of the scenario, it is going to be all the information that you have. Sometimes they'll let you ask questions like, how many people are in the house? Sometimes they'll say unknown, because they're trying to make it as realistic as possible. So this is kind of how I run my notes. It's a clean way to do it. It's kind of organized. So it helps me separate my information between what we know, the people involved, and important notes while questioning. And so it's really up to you on how you want to write down your notes. But this is a simple way that's organized, and you can easily look back on it later when you're writing your report, not like us explorers do, which we should start doing, actually. So, yeah, this is basically it. I mean, note-taking is a very important part of explorers because it's what we do as cops. We're not going to remember everything in our little heads, okay? We have to write stuff down. So if you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, ways that you write notes down, let me know in the comment section below, because it's a preference thing. You don't necessarily have to, do it exactly how I do it, but it is a nice, clean, organized way. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.